Welcome to the Whole Food Vegan Podcast.
Exciting vegan food, no crap, no agenda.
Helping you enjoy a wonderfully varied, tasty, easy to prepare and nutritious whole food plant-based diet.
Simple tip, easy recipes and helpful hints on how to get more enticing vegan meals into your diet. Usually recorded after a bottle of Merlot on a Friday night.
Hello and welcome to the Whole Food Vegan Podcast. In this episode, we have an amazing conversation with Loretta and Sharon. They run a vegan retreat and cooking school. They've also got a coffee business. So this is going to be a really interesting discussion with them. And the interview starts slightly backwards with Sharon and Loretta asking Sue and I about our vegan journey. So let's dive right in.
How long have you been vegan for?
I don't know, actually. That's a good question.
It's six or 7 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, for me it started, I was living in a place where they had a German cook and she didn't understand vegetarian and I was really strict vegetarian and she just didn't get it. I said, look, I'll just make it easy. I just won't eat anything from an animal.
Yeah.
It wasn't an intentional decision. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
And I just felt amazing on it. I just felt
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
so it's kind of stuck. And then you said, oh, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So were you guys vegetarian before you went vegan, or did you go?
No, we weren't. No, we were, I mean, we weren't carnivores, but we'd eat meat and fish. And I mean, we predominantly done it because of the health benefits. I was very, very sick at the time and I was desperately looking for an alternative way to get better. And to be honest, I was a really reluctant vegan. I didn't want to be vegan. You know, I loved sort of, beef chow mein and, I was like, well, I love chorizo. And I was like really reluctant. But the more research that I did, I mean, I was never comfortable with eating animals. I just, as you do, you kind of put a kind of
over it.
Yeah, you kind of put up a barrier to actually where the food has come from. And I was vegetarian in my early 20s because of the animal. And then I literally had bacon one day and then just sort of went back. But I was always just a bit aware of the animal, but I just didn't really connect it. But when I did lots of research into people that cured or reversed their autoimmune diseases, 99% of them became plant-based. So vegan is kind of, because it's more related to animals, isn't it? So for the health, in terms of health, it was being plant-based, like nutrient-dense, really whole food, plant-based diet, because there's lots of vegans out there that actually crap, really. But this was following a real strict whole food, plant-based diet. And it took a while, but it eventually restored my health and I've never looked back. Yeah.
Did you do that switch overnight?
Pretty much, actually, yeah.
And what did you notice? How did you notice yourself feeling different?
It didn't happen overnight, yeah. And it was a bit of a long journey. But so first of all, we tried paleo, and that didn't really work. And then we decided to go vegan. And it took time. It wasn't like she started eating broccoli and then all of a sudden, she could walk. It wasn't a miracle like that. No. But it was a kind of a slow burn. So a bit like what you said, we started feeling better and better and better. And there was many things with that. It was also giving up alcohol, sleeping well, having good relationships. Giving up processed foods. It wasn't just about being vegan. That was part of it.
But Loretta, you went vegan the same time, did you?
Yes. To support me, because I was like, I'm not going to be a miserable teetotal vegan by myself. Yes. So you're going to have to notice.
I appreciate, Sharon, you were ill at the time. But Loretta, did you notice any shift in how you felt quickly, or was that slow?
I would say I felt a lot better. I'm quite cynical and, all these kind of Instagrammers saying, blueberries changed my life. It sort of gets on my nerves, like, because blueberries don't change your life. But what I found was that I felt happier. I had more energy. I was more focused. I felt more productive. I felt like I
I had the energy to cope with the stuff that, as life happens to you, I felt like I could take on the challenges a lot better.
I mean, I applaud you giving up alcohol and coffee at the same time. That's just amazing.
Yeah, well, we drink coffee now. We've actually got our own.
We see.
Yeah,
we'll come to that.
So actually, that's a big undertaking, isn't it, to massively change your diet and your lifestyle. That is, like you say, it takes time. It's not an instant thing.
Yeah, I think what it was, when I did the research, I found these people, they were normal people like Loretta and I, and they made extraordinary changes and they reversed their health conditions. So it wasn't like as if I was like looking at, I had to become Mo Farah. It was in the remit, it was achievable. All they did was make dramatic changes. And I thought, they're not superhuman. They've just made changes and they got better. And I would have given anything to get better. So I was like, if this could make me better, that's why the kind of becoming plant-based did sort of happen overnight. Took me a while to make the decision, but it kept coming. Every bit of research, the people that got better became plant-based. So I couldn't push it away anymore. I tried to push it away because I didn't want to do it. I tried to push it away, but then I was like, look, this is just a small little voice inside of me going, at the time I had a 2-year-old, I was only like 39, and I was like, I don't want to live the rest of my life like this, like half living. Like, what if I made those changes and what if I got better? What if the price that I had to pay was not having chorizo or a glass of wine and getting better? And I weighed that up, and there was part of me going, maybe I'll just have the chorizo and drink the red wine and take the drugs. But deep down, I knew that if I did it and it worked, that I would be so happy that I took control and got my life back. It was a risk. It was a risk at the beginning, but ultimately it wasn't a risk because I got healthier and happier because of it.
But also, what was the big revelation was actually we were giving up nothing.
No.
And I fell in love with plant-based cooking, and I realised that you can eat amazing food. You're not missing out. It's not deprivation. You just have to know what you're doing, and that's what we did. We threw ourselves into, how to cook amazing plant-based food. I retrained as a natural vegan chef, and I've got a large Irish family who think we're nuts. They would come round for dinner and they'd be like, this is delicious. This is, I would be vegan if someone cooked for me like this.
We do that a lot, especially at our retreats. I could be vegan if you lived in my kitchen and would cook like this. Yeah.
We have the same, this is whole, the whole thing started with us with this podcast, because we used to invite people over to dinner. They'd be like, oh, well, vegan, I'm not sure I can eat that. And they'd be like, oh, can you give us the recipe? That was amazing. So that's how this kind of started for us. It's just people going, oh, I want to know how you cook that, or what would you do with this if you had that? And it was just a natural progression. And I heard that you say natural vegan chef. What do you mean by that?
So using whole food, plant-based, so it's all natural foods, because I think there are vegans out there that eat chips and white bread. So it was holistic, and it was studying, what is actually good for our bodies alongside being a chef. So I found I became happier. I actually think the food made me happier.
I think it clears the brain fog as well, doesn't it? I'm absolutely convinced that there are some foods out there, and I'm not going to say what they are, but they do clog up your system and they do clog up your brain, and it just becomes really difficult to focus, like you said, about improved concentration. And I think you just feel generally more wholesome when you're just eating well. And I think that's like exactly as you say. A lot of people just eat vegan burgers and chips and say, well, I eat and I don't feel any different. It's a whole food approach, isn't it?
I mean, even Loretta and I, like when I was going through trying to reverse my disease, I had to be 100%, I had to turn up to restaurants with my own dressing, or, but now that I've got better, I can, I'm 90%, well, I'm 100% vegan, but I'm 90%, like I would go out to a Thai restaurant, which I wouldn't do before. But anyways, it's quite funny because we went for a Thai this week, and we've had a really good January, really clean eating, really putting loads of nutrients in. We went out for a Thai, took my mum out for dinner, and literally as soon as I'd eaten it, like the rice, that not that I've got anything against rice, but they use a lot of sugar in the Thai as well. It was about 7 o'clock, and I was like, oh my god, I just go to bed. I just literally I felt immediately exhausted. And I think when you can only notice that when your diet that's actually quite clean, because you can compare it and go, oh my God, when I eat like that. Whereas if you're eating like that a lot, you don't really notice it. You
I
just
agree.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
you kind of set the benchmark of when you're at home of feeling fresh, feeling clean, feeling energized, feeling alive, and then you go out and eat
yeah,
stodge
yeah,
or lots of white bread and chips.
yeah.
I can feel everything go. Oh.
Yeah, you literally go, your system starts to slow down. You go, oh,
I
you can
think for us
feel
also,
it.
one of the things that we really miss when we eat out is just the amount of green that's lacking. You know, we just want loads of greens and like loads of kale and loads of spinach. It's just so good for you. And when you don't have that in a standard meal, you know, they might put a bit of broccoli in it or a green bean or something. You just think, oh, come on, you could just make this so much more nutritious.
Yeah.
So do you
Sorry,
cook? So do you cook yourselves on your detox weekends and events that you have?
yes, we do.
Well, mainly Loretta.
mainly
I
I
clean.
do.
I do the cleaning.
um, in Portugal, I have chefs working with me, and I've got a natural. I've got an Ayurvedic chef that is amazing. Her food is incredible. Yeah, so it's either me or when we're in Portugal, I have other people
It's a
helping
bit
as
of a
well.
bigger week in Portugal, so we have a bit more help. But in Suffolk for the weekends, we have someone to come and help, sort of run it in the evenings. But Loretta's like the chef,
The main
basically.
chef, yeah.
And what do you get from chefing that you don't get from just cooking for yourself? I'm sure it's a very different dynamic.
Well, yeah, I always say this to Sharon. I make such an effort when I'm at the Detox Barn. Obviously, you know, and I get quite excited, and it really pleases me to cook for people. And I love it when they go, I really enjoyed that, or can I have the recipe? And I find that I can be a bit lazy at home. And you know, when you're really busy and you just get in and I just think, oh, I'll just have a bit of avocado on toast. Do you know what I mean? And I always feel so pleased, like because we eat all the food that we cook at the weekend. I was like, why don't we cook like this all the time? But
there's a time thing. We will, like today, you're going to do a really nice beetroot risotto.
Yeah. You know, it's time. It's
Yeah.
time.
Would you cook gluten-free or the Detox Barn events as well?
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I've got a friend of mine. She runs courses, and all the food is vegan. It's all gluten-free. And she says two things come out of that when you run an event is, number one, people are not getting this great big stodgy dip after lunch and asleep. Everyone is still vibrant. And secondly, it's inclusive. So you haven't got people standing back going, I can't have that, I can't have that.
Yeah.
Maybe there may be likes and dislikes, but pretty much everyone can eat everything, and it becomes an inclusive event, catering like that, rather than, you know, there's a little bit for the vegan at the end that everyone else eats because it's nice anyway, and then we're left with nothing.
And I also think
I'm quite angry about that.
Because
we love our food, and it's horrible not to feel like you can eat anything.
But I also think that, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel, even myself, that there's still a real negativity to the word vegan. Like whenever you say the word or hear the word,
has a negative connotation to it.
Or there's a kind of piss-takey vibe around it. Like,
oh, the vegans, the boring vegans, the lecturers. It's got a kind of heavy feel to it.
And even someone was telling me the other day that he was selling this stuff at his cafe, and he's actually changed the word vegan to plant-based because
I have a problem with that. See, it's not the same thing to me. So plant-based is based on plants. It's not exclusively vegan always. Yeah, and I think it's quite misleading, and I get really peed about that, because if it's plant-based, does that mean it's vegan? If you've made it based on plants, why can't you call it vegan?
Well, the reason why I like plant-based is because not everyone that doesn't eat meat is political, and it feels like veganism is more
it's the political
side of it, where, you know, I'm very pleased that animals aren't getting harmed. I love animals. I've got a dog, you know, but I'm that's not my agenda. My agenda is to eat vegan. So I don't want to, you know. I remember once us interviewing someone that was very political and vegan and quite angry, and that's not what we're about. We're much more positive, and you know.
I know what you mean. I mean, I presume plant-based is when I think of plant-based, I think of 100% vegan, because I think you are just using the plants. But I know what you're saying, and the plant-based has a softer approach to it. There's so much which is wrong. It's really wrong. I mean, I read a stat about vegan, like in terms of like discrimination. It was like, do you remember I read?
Oh yeah,
it was like redheads vegan, or vegan redheads. Well, you're both.
Yeah.
And
was a bit grey now.
it was a really bad stat.
Yeah.
Like there's so much discrimination, like negativity. I mean, obviously we live in London. It's quite cool to be vegan now. And are changing, and there's vegan produce everywhere. But there is still a slight negative connotation.
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
And
I agree.
I think that's also a marketing thing. You know, you look at Richmond sausages, they've now got kind of vegan sausage, but they call it plant-based sausage, for example. You know, they don't want to exclude people by saying it's vegan, but they've got the Vegan Society approval stamp on it. You know, it's I find it really confusing. I just think personally it'd be better if it was just vegan or vegetarian.
Yeah,
you get it all mixed up in their head anyway. They have enough people working out what vegan and vegetarian are a lot of the time.
Yeah. But I think you're right. I think they are moving away from the word just because people have a negative feeling towards vegans, which is awful.
I know. And then they go, oh, you can't wear leather shoes and blah. And some people do, and some people don't. We're only interested in the food. So
yeah, same with us. Yeah.
So talking about food, you're having a beetroot risotto tonight.
Yes.
Tell us how you make your risotto, unless it's a trade secret.
No. Yeah. So I will use organic risotto rice. I will chop up a red onion first, and then I will pan fry the red onion. Then I will add the rice to coat the rice with a bit of olive oil and the onion. I will roast the beetroot. Actually, I air fried it last time I did it. So yeah, either air fry or roast the beetroot.
So that it's fully cooked, the beetroot, or it's sort of par cooked?
No, fully cooked. Fully cooked. So I'll add it at the end. And then I will add some liquid. I'll use a bit of coconut milk so it gets nice and creamy. And my kind of my sort of little tip is I use white miso. So I will get some white miso and some boiling water, and then stir it and use that as my broth sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I'll add that slowly and keep stirring. And then I will get the roasted beetroot. I will blend some of it, so only a little bit, so it gets nice and red. And I will add that to the risotto, and then the rest I'll add as chunks. So I like having a little chunk.
Yeah.
And then I will get some nutritional yeast and a bit of salt. And that's it's
amazing.
Yeah.
Had you heard of nutritional yeast before you went vegan?
No.
No.
We actually, when we run the retreat, because we have lots of beginners and lots of people that are just really interested in living better and eating a bit better, and we always send them a staple of like what you need to be able to cook vegan. These staple ingredients like the miso, the nutritional yeast,
tamari is always a really good one. Yeah,
things that we had to learn all this stuff, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, and it took a while. Now we know it all, and it's great to be able to share it.
And it's also getting your head around. People think, I think, you know, if you were going to cook a meal for someone that wasn't vegan, you would put lots of energy and effort and think about it. It's the same with vegan. It's not easier. It's just
you just have to think about it a bit.
Yeah, and I know you've had the experience where you went for dinner at someone's house and they just took the meat off the plate and gave you a plate of vegetables. They just, I don't know what to cook.
We've been in restaurants that have done that.
Yeah, we have actually.
You know, it's a sort of a meat dish, a beef dish with the sides of veg, and they just took the meat off. It's like,
that's bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
in the kitchen.
I have had people being quite aggressive.
Especially when we're on holiday in Portugal.
In Portugal, they do not like
They
people
don't
that
like
don't eat
it.
meat, you know. And I remember going to a restaurant and I said, look, we're vegan. Have you got anything? He's like, no, salad.
It's a fish place. This is a fish place. No, salad. I'm like, I want more than just salad. Do you know what I mean? Is there anything you can do? They're like, no, don't dine here.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I think it's interesting now. A lot of restaurants you go to, like sort of chain restaurants, they will have a specific vegan menu now. We went to Pizza Express, was it?
Yeah.
And they had a
great
vegan menu. It was like, oh,
really good. A Wagamama's are really good as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So it is easier, I think.
Well, actually, in London, even the Sunday roasts will have a nice vegan roast, which is lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I think also when I went vegan, there wasn't sort
Yeah.
of pre-prepared vegan things out there. So if you wanted sausages, you had to make them.
Yeah.
And I just went for ages not eating cake and things because I couldn't. And then
Yeah.
I found out bourbon biscuits were accidentally vegan. I was like, well, hey. And up until then, I'd had quite a good sugar detox. But when I found out biscuits,
Not
like
whole
top
food, though.
knobs, I know, but still, when you you know.
But that's true, and that's why it became harder for me, because at the beginning we turned vegan about 12 years ago, or about 10 years ago now, and back then there was no vegan menus. I would ask for salad, rice, and some cooked mushrooms. That was my go-to, because I love dining out. It's not about the food, is it? It's about the experience of being with friends, and that's what I would have. But since the vegan menus come along, like Wagamama or a Pizza Express, which I do occasionally go to, it's not as healthy.
Yeah.
And then there's a vegan dessert option,
I
which
know.
was never around, and it makes it much harder to be
It's
like
very often
really
fruit
strict.
salad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. And tell us a little bit more about this coffee then, because you've got your own brand of coffee now, and I understand that's kind of taken off on its own adventure, really. You tell us about that.
Well, so the one thing Sharon didn't want to give up when we were, giving up meat, alcohol, and everything else was coffee, and she did give it up for a bit. I never
a couple
did.
of years, but I was miserable without it.
Yeah.
I was just like, it's my first thing in the morning. It's my ritual. It's my happy place, having that first coffee. I couldn't get over it. I'm still not over it after about 2 years.
Because that's one thing we always did in the mornings. We'd have a cup of coffee, and then that's when all our ideas come, and it's all downhill after that. But that first cup of coffee was just, we loved it. So we just went on a mission. We said, okay, the science is telling us, loads of scientists were coming out with research papers showing how great coffee is for your health.
Good organic coffee.
Yeah, the polyphenols, how it's good for gut health. So the science was really changing about coffee. I mean, good coffee, not just instant,
Yeah.
So we went on a mission to find the healthiest coffee we could. So we basically discovered mushroom coffee. So we found a really good organic Arabica coffee, and then we sourced some mushrooms, and we just kept testing them and testing the amounts and trying, all different types of coffees and mushrooms, and we eventually found what we wanted, and we just started producing it.
I mean, I hadn't heard of mushroom coffee. I didn't go from let's find a coffee and then I discovered I started buying mushroom coffee myself because I think I heard from Rich Roll and he was doing a sponsored ad for mushroom coffee, and I was like, that sounds awful. But I was like, if it's really healthy, I'll try it. And I started buying it from another brand, obviously. And I was like, this is really good. I feel really good. I'm not getting that slump. It's still giving me the caffeine hit.
So just to be clear, it's a mixture of
coffee
and mushroom rather than a drink made from pure mushrooms that we call coffee. It's a mixture of the two.
It's definitely coffee. It's got caffeine. So if you don't want caffeine, don't have it. It's a really, even without the mushrooms, it's a really good coffee. And then we've got
a bit weird. What does it actually taste like? Does it taste like mushrooms or
no, just like coffee?
Okay.
Which is why I kind of steered away from calling it. We're going to call it fungi coffee, but I thought that might put people off, because when I asked my brother, "Do you want to try mushroom coffee?" he was like, "No, thank you." Sounds disgusting. So it was my daughter that came up with funky coffee, which is kind of a play on fungi. But no, it tastes just like coffee. In fact, our coffee is so nice, and I'm not just saying this, but we serve it at the barn, and you can have it black. You don't even need milk with it. It's very mellow and really lovely.
And it's ground, comes ground?
Yeah, so you'd have it in a cafetiere or a coffee maker.
Can you buy it as beans?
No, it's always because it's mixed in.
Because of the mixture, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, they're adaptogens, so they're mixed in at a level where the benefits are there, but it doesn't overpower in taste. And the adaptogens have an interesting effect on the coffee. It basically mellows the coffee out so that you get the nice hit, but without the crash or the jitters. And then you get the benefits of the actual mushrooms that are in the coffee as well. So it's quite a different experience. I think when you swap to it, you kind of go, oh, this is a much more sustainable type, nice energy that you get from it.
And I must ask, you mentioned about children. Do your kids follow the same sort of diet? Do you cook in the same way for them, or do you cook different things for them?
Oh, it's a real bone of contention. Yeah,
I mean,
no,
they're pretty much
they're
vegetarian. Well,
vegetarian.
pescatarian at home.
Yeah, but then they're not vegan. When we went vegan, they weren't. We're split up with their dads. So
We
when
haven't
they
got children together.
no,
So we're both, let me explain. We're both divorced. We live together.
Yeah.
And they go to their dads every other weekend.
Yeah.
And they were always eating meat and stuff with their dads. And at the time when we turned vegan, it was all like, you shouldn't let your children be vegan. It's child abuse. It's this, it's that. It never went down that path. And because we never started it, it was then very hard to reverse it. But at home, obviously, we are cooking predominantly vegan. But we have to try and hide it a bit. Like, you know, even if we were to do spaghetti bolognese, we would use a vegan substitute meat. They're always moaning, going, can't have the real meat. They're not, you know, at school they eat meat. So it's very difficult.
we're hoping that they will watch us, and in years to come they'll come back to it. What I didn't want to do was force it.
Yeah, sure.
And it's really interesting because you know, people ask us this question at the Detox Barn, and then some people say, you know, you don't want to force it. I mean, that wouldn't be, you know, and I find it quite tricky because I kind of think, well, actually, I believe it is the best way to eat.
So why wouldn't we?
Why is that damaging to a child? If a child, you know, was brought up in a home where they continually ate KFC, no one says anything. But I thought if anything happened to Florence, if she was, you know, had any food issue, it'd be like all her fault. She was obsessed with, you know, being healthy. It's a terrible way to think.
Yeah.
I feel that power. So I'm always trying to be very sort of relaxed around food. But at the same time, you know, I'm passionate about eating well. You know,
I think it's leading by example, isn't it? As you say.
Absolutely.
I think so. And there comes a point, I think, where children start to find their own way in life, and then they ask the questions.
Yes.
Why are you vegan? Why do you eat like this?
yeah.
And then certainly my kids, I was vegetarian. I've been vegetarian for 20 odd years. And they would occasionally eat vegetarian. Then I switched to vegan, but by which time they were in their late teens, and they were becoming much more interested in actually trying food that wasn't just beige, because it was always beige, you know, chicken nuggets and chips. It's just any colour.
Hang on, I think there's one child. There was one child. Only still
no, she still eats beige.
Yeah.
She's nearly in her 30s, But as I've found, as they've got older, their palate has changed, and they said, actually, no, I am prepared to try some food that's got some colour and that's interesting. And then they're kind of, oh, yeah, actually, this isn't just, you know, leaves and twigs like I thought vegans eat. This is actually really good. This is actually really nice.
And we'll get that as well. We'll get the occasional, and you sort of think by osmosis or whatever, that we'll get the occasional, is this healthy? Is what I'm eating healthy? Is this healthy, mum? And just even that, you know, like we do like a lot of broccoli sprouts, you know, like when you sprout and you can, and it's super healthy. I mean, it's got like triple the amount of just a normal broccoli, and the kids actually prefer it. It's more salady tasting. And my son is always going, is this really good for me, mum? Is this really wants that? And I'm like, it's really good for you. You're like, really well done. Let's eat some more of this. But
it's hard because, you know, school dinners. I went to visit my dad, actually. He's in hospital at the moment with a gallbladder issue. And then I looked on his notes and it says, you know, and he eats quite well, but it says, you know, low fat diet is encouraged. And then I looked on his hospital tray and it was jelly, rice pudding, and all beige fish and chips. And I'm like,
not low fat, really.
It's broken. It's so broken. You know,
and it's the same with school. You know, when Carter first had a little bit of independence and went to secondary school, which was like last year, so he was buying his own food at school at the canteen, was, you know, updating his money. When I looked back, he had basically bought a bacon sandwich every day for 6 weeks. For 6 weeks. I mean, he has stopped that.
But it's cruel if you make them vegan, remember?
You're damaging them. It's
cholesterol and saturated fat, you know.
Yeah.
But hey.
I'm like, if you ate like that for the rest of your life, Carter, you're going to get some sort of cancer or heart disease. You cannot eat like that, you know. And he has stopped. I don't want to scare him either, you know, but the processed foods and the link with cancer is out there. The government, he would just ignore it.
We've got a friend we went out with last weekend, and we do tend to drink quite a lot when we go out with him, because that's kind of all he's interested in, really. So he'd had about 5 pints of beer, and I sort of said to him, "Oh, what have you eaten today?" Because it's always fascinating what he doesn't eat. And he said, "Well, I had a couple of slices of toast this morning before I went to work." And I said, "Right." I said, "What toast?" He goes, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, I had a tuna sandwich at lunchtime, and that's it, really." And this was like 9 o'clock at night, wasn't it? And so all he'd had was basically a tuna sandwich and 2 slices of white bread and 5 pints of beer. And he said, "Oh, I didn't bring any money in deliberately, so I couldn't get a takeaway on the way home and get a kebab." I was like, oh, it's awful. People are so, I
think what I've noticed about being vegan is I am much more aware of what's going on my plate. So as a vegetarian and certainly as a meat eater, I just used to dish up food, and it'd be a food that's tasty, I like it. Whereas now I'm much more aware to look and say, do I have any carbs? Are there too many carbs? Have I got some protein on there? Have I got greens on there? And I'm eating much more consciously and much more connected to the food. And
I think if you are vegan, you really do have to look at your nutritional profile. I mean, you know, if I was looking at the research now, health-wise, you know, a Mediterranean diet is very, very good for you. But actually, even knowing that, I could not go back now. I enjoy it so much. I love it so much. I just couldn't go back. It would make me feel sick. Even if I had to prepare meat now, it makes me feel ill.
Or even eggs. Like I used to eat lots. I used to love eggs, but they make me feel a bit sick now.
Yeah.
I just go. Once someone told me they were chicken periods, I have never looked back. I'm like,
no.
Coming
But,
in my
you know, at the Detox Barn, every single meal they have their 20 a day, basically, in every single meal. Always protein, and no one is ever hungry. That's what they can't believe. They go, "Oh my God, I haven't felt hungry
and I've
all
not
weekend."
Snacked. I've not had a snack, you know.
I think it's, again, you know, we've done a whole issue on this, whole podcast on this, but about being prepared. So if you know you're going somewhere where they don't have vegan options, like you were saying earlier, you know, you take what you need with you. But you shouldn't have to do that. It should be all inclusive. And if you're going somewhere on a detox retreat, particularly, people think, "Oh, I'm just going to eat lettuce and lentil soup." And actually, when they go and have really good quality food, they kind of go, so detox doesn't necessarily mean eating nothing or just having and porridge. It's actually eating well, and that is naturally detoxing. And I think it's a real revelation for people.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you know, it's not it's a detox for some people. It's depending on how bad your diet is. Do you know what I mean? You know, some people, you know, they have loads of, you know, sugar and stuff, then they can get headaches at our retreat. But it basically, detox is a slightly misleading word. I mean, it basically is just eating really well for a weekend, no booze, no crap, and having some time out, you know.
And digital detox as well.
And
I think that's really important.
And
and I guess if people go away from that and they're taking just a few snippets of I can change my diet slightly, I can change my routine slightly, I can change the way I view things slightly.
That was always what I wanted. I wanted people to walk away from our retreat saying, "Oh my God, I could be vegan." It's not about deprivation. It's not about lack of flavor. It's not about feeling hungry. It's not bland. It's not boring. It's nutritious. I feel full. I've enjoyed it. I feel like I've had a nice meal. That was really one of our top priorities, wasn't it?
And also as well, I mean, we're really passionate about small changes every day. I mean, we do quite a lot of workshops in the science of habits, and it doesn't need to be, our message isn't about leaving the retreat and becoming vegan, but it's about what can I do that can boost my health? Is that having a smoothie every day? Is it going for a longer walk? Is it having, you know, vegan, you know, cooked from scratch 3 times this week? Whatever it is, it's achievable. I mean, I did a bit all or nothing overnight because I had serious health problems. I think a lot of people, that's way too much, but just slowly introducing it, I think, is probably the best way for the normal person.
And I think there's that saying, isn't there, about, you know, the best time to start eating well is 20 years ago, but the second best now, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's never too late to start making those
No.
small changes.
Mm.
Yeah. And do you know anyone who's had any success with veganuary? Because I haven't been able to find anybody who's done it, and I've asked around. I don't know anyone who's done the veganuary this year.
No, I haven't either.
No.
It feels like it's lost its mojo
Yeah,
this year. 'Cause
I've
normally
seen
you
it.
hear lots about it. No, I haven't. No.
No, interesting.
No.
I just thought I'd ask
Mm.
out of interest. So one of the things we always ask our guests is, what is your go-to meal? So what is the one thing that you make that everyone goes, oh my, well, it's probably loads for you by the sound of it. But, you know, what's your thing that you think, oh, I just need something really nice tonight. This is what I'm going to make. And everyone says, oh, this is amazing.
I love your oven baked rice with the tofu.
The curry.
But you do a really nice oven baked. Yeah, it's the curry.
Yeah. There's that. I do a really nice curry, or I do a really nice vegan dal. I cook that at the retreat, and it's done with ginger and turmeric and white miso, and it's mustard seeds, and it's really rich and delicious. And I serve it with a coconut yogurt. So that's nice and hearty and filling and full of fibre and really good for your gut.
Yeah.
So
I prefer your curry.
you prefer the curry?
Yeah.
I do a nice curry as well, and I do oven baked rice. So it tastes more like sort of sticky rice.
Yeah, I've made that like oven-based risotto where you cook it in the oven. It's risotto.
Yeah.
It's crispy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So I suppose that would be one of my go-tos.
So it sounds like there should be a cookbook out there. Now, you've got any plans to make a cookbook?
Do you know what? So many people have said that to me, and the problem that I have with it is I'm a bit of a, what did they say I was, like a sober Lloyd Grossman. Is it Lloyd Grossman?
Is that
No, it's not.
No. Who is it? The guy that just kind of
The drunk chef.
that just
not the one we saw. It was on the
I don't
road.
know.
Oh, hang on. Let me
Anyway,
think.
yeah. So I don't write anything down, and I'm the sort of person that I go into the fridge and I see what's there, and I'll try.
Yeah,
So-
that's exactly.
Rachel, that was really good. Can you cook it again?
Like,
No.
probably not. No. I mean, dishes like
we do give out recipes but we've had to sit
I had
down
to sit down and go, what have I done?
We find it so painful.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a little mini book that we send out, but it is on our list, isn't it?
I think it'd be a brilliant venture. It sounds like you haven't got enough time in the day, though.
No.
Yes, yeah.
So where can people find you? Where should they go to find you? Websites, Instagram, that kind of thing?
Yes.
Gavin Sisters.
So website is gavinsisters.co.uk, and then our Instagram is Gavin Sisters UK.
But that's mainly everything you need to find out about us is on Gavin Sisters. Our coffee, our retreats, our podcast, everything's on there.
Yeah, and I like your podcast. It's very holistic. I was looking at I've listened to a couple of episodes, and I just thought it was really well put together. And you know, it's good to have a resource like that where people can just go and listen and make their own minds up about what's good for them and what isn't. And it's encompassing everything from money. That was a really good episode that I listened to.
That was. I needed that episode myself. That was really good, Jason, wasn't it?
Yeah. Good. So it's really good. Thank you for bringing that to our awareness.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. And if you have enjoyed this podcast, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. If you'd like to be featured on the show or to send us any comments, please email behealthy@govegan.online. See you soon.